This video is aimed at dive retailers, instructors, and anyone else who recommends or sells equipment to new scuba divers. And its message is simple. The type of snorkel you're most likely encouraging new divers to purchase is positively, absolutely the worst type of snorkel they can have. And we're going to tell you why. The type of snorkel you're most likely selling to new divers probably looks something like this. It's big and bulky. It has some sort of deflector or gadget at the top that's designed to either reduce or eliminate the amount of water that gets into the snorkel when waves crash overhead or divers go underwater. At the other end, there's a one-way valve that's supposed to reduce the amount of water that divers have to clear. The rigid tube makes it virtually impossible to fold up and store any place. In fact, all you can do with this thing is leave it permanently attached to your mask. And that's a problem. So what's the problem? Snorkels like this are big and bulky. They create considerable drag, especially when diving in currents. And when you're diving around guidelines in caverns or wrecks, or on any underwater structure that may be covered with fishing line or fishing nets, they pose a significant risk of entanglement. The flexible lower section of many snorkels is easily mistaken for a BC inflator hose, which it invariably ends up lying next to. We've seen more than one diver plummet to the depths while trying desperately to inflate its snorkel. Snorkels that self-drain are actually poorly suited for free diving, as the one-way valve near the mouthpiece makes it impossible to do an effective displacement clear. The chief drawback of snorkels like this is cost. It's not unusual for this type of snorkel to sell for $50 to $60 or more. Now, that's a lot of money to spend on an item that most divers will seldom, if ever, use. And it's money that could be put towards items that divers would find significantly more valuable. That's not to say that this type of snorkel doesn't have its place. It's an excellent choice for the casual snorkeler, who is typically self-taught and doesn't understand how to perform a blast or displacement clear. Now, that sort of user will most likely genuinely appreciate those features which are designed to help keep the water out. Why do scuba divers even need snorkels? Well, prior to 1980, snorkels were an essential piece of equipment for scuba diving because the snorkeling vests and horse-collar BCs of the time generally provided insufficient lift to keep divers' heads completely out of the water. That changed with the widespread adoption of jacket-style and back inflation BCs. With these, divers could rest or swim on the surface with their heads completely out of the water, while breathing comfortably through their noses and mouths. This makes it sound as though, for the most part, snorkels for scuba divers are obsolete. Still, you can make a compelling argument for at least having one, based on the philosophy that it's better to have one and not need it than to need one and not have it. This helps explain the biggest single drawback to selling new divers big, bulky snorkels. They are among the first pieces of equipment those divers will elect to leave behind. When new divers get out into the real world, among the first things they notice is that a snorkel is the one piece of equipment they seldom, if ever, use. And it's also one that very few experienced divers wear. In fact, about the only time you see veteran divers wearing snorkels is if they are teaching a class and feel compelled to do so in order to comply with standards. Given that having a big, bulky snorkel constantly tugging on your mast strap is a royal pain in the ass, it's not surprising this is the one piece of equipment that most divers start leaving at home because there's no other way to carry them other than leaving them attached to your mast strap. In most instances, the better snorkel for scuba divers will look something like this. It's smaller and more streamlined. The fact that it's open at the top and has no self-drain at the bottom makes it vastly better suited for freediving. Best of all, it folds up and can easily be stored in a pocket until those rare instances where you might actually need it. What this means is that there's now no excuse for leaving this at home. Compact foldable snorkels are available from several manufacturers. Aqualung has offered their Nautilus folding snorkel since the early 2000s. Scuba Pro's new apnea snorkel is marketed as a freediving snorkel, but also folds up out of the way. Oceanic, Tusa, and others offer similar models. Folding snorkels seldom retail for more than $40 and are often priced closer to $20. Now that represents a savings of up to $50, money that students can invest in vastly more useful equipment such as better quality fins or a personal dive computer. I've seen a number of instances over the years in which new divers who were shopping for that first set of mass snorkel and fins got sticker shock when they discovered how much that new mask was going to cost them when you pair it with an oversized adult toy like this. Unfortunately, many divers in that position respond by trying to make up the difference by economizing on fins. And that's foolish because, well, a snorkel is something that you seldom use. Fins are something that you're using all the time. Better quality fins are generally not only more powerful, they are easier to kick and use. They make learning easier and diving more enjoyable. I've always encouraged retailers to make wetsuit boots and fins the first thing they sell new divers, not the last. I tell new divers to get the best fins they can afford, and if they need to economize elsewhere, a snorkel is the place to do it. If you are still selling your students and customers the wrong type of snorkel, you need to stop. If you don't presently stock at least one make and model of folding snorkel, you need to start. And you need to begin positioning those big oversized adult toys as being better suited for snorkeling and display them prominently with your snorkeling gear, because that's really where they belong. So that you don't diminish the value of your overall mass snorkel fin sales, make it a point to get more of your new students into the best fins possible. Doing so will make it easier for them to learn, and they will have more fun in the process. Trust is among the most important elements in building long-term relationships with customers. Show your students that they can trust you to get them into the right equipment the first time and every time.